evening, everybody, and welcome to Ballymun Does Recovery 2021. I'd first of all like to say thanks very much for asking me to come back and do this, because it is something that's really close to my heart. It's been a tough year, a very tough year, especially for those working on the front line in the health service, and also for people working in the services for recovery, people who are in recovery and people who are also trying to get recovery. So it's just been a roller coaster of 12 months. So I'm really going to keep it short and sweet, and I'm going to introduce your first act. Can you please put your hands together and give a big round of applause for singer, songwriter, Niall O'Shea.
My name is Niall O'Shea from NSC Dogs. This is a song called Sarawiwa, and I'm part of the Star Project, so I wouldn't be here without them. So this is for the Star Project. The Delta of Nigeria in 1941. 10-year-old boy and the shellman come around 1951. It was a dark day with a bright sky. Dark day with a bright sky. Although you missed the slave trade, you are colonized all the same. After 30 years of resistance, you refuse to let your name be taken away. You keep it in an unmarked grave. No surrender to the gun, Sarawiwa. No surrender to political corruption. No surrender to the gun, Sarawiwa. No surrender to the degradation. Land of honor, land of wealth. It's a land of sorrow, it's not a land of health. The shadow of a saint on a darkling plain. Our fight is one of intellect, and we shall win. No surrender to the gun, Sarawiwa. No surrender to political corruption. No surrender to the gun, Sarawiwa. No surrender to the degradation. General Tanya, Brian Anderson kept the wells. Abraham, Bob and Gita killed for the brother to roll the chill. Elizabeth, the Queen of England, looking after her own health. But where the Harari Principles, Declaration of the Commonwealth, and the European nations are vultures on tin roofs, with their fingers crossed behind their backs, hoping their man doesn't lose. But we're the United Nations, the fight the popular fights. But when it comes to the money for a bottle of violence, fuck your human rights. And it's Shell, BP and Chevron and other rulers of the earth. Shell kill the accounting on a baby them, far from the place of bet. The opiate of the masses keeps them in control. If the people of the Western world knew the truth, surely they would overthrow. No surrender to the gun, Sarawiwa. No surrender to political corruption. No surrender to the gun, Sarawiwa. No surrender to the guns. we will overcome. Staring down the barrel of a gun. It's your struggle we lament. It's your struggle we lament. Struggle we will overcome. Stepping down the barrel of a gun. It's your struggle we lament. It's your struggle we lament. No, no surrender to the gun, sorry we war. No, no surrender to political corruption. No, no surrender to the gun, sorry we war. No, no surrender to the guns.
The next speaker is going to be a guy who I'm sure you all know or all have known from the past. An amazing boxer, a Dublin man, who got a silver medal in the Olympics a few years back. So can you please put your hands together for Kenny Egan.
Hello, my name is Kenneth Egan. I'm in recovery 11 years. What does recovery mean to me? Well, there's a beginning, a middle and an end to my story. So let's take you back to the start. My drug of choice was alcohol, and I've been drinking since I was 13 years of age, right up to the age of 28. Alcohol took away everything nearly from my existence, I suppose. And it was my one of two loves, alcohol and boxing. And I married the two together and continued with both of them right up through my teens and into my early adulthood. But drinking for me was an escape. Suffered with anxiety, still suffer from anxiety, but I deal with it in a better manner today. But alcohol allowed me communicate with people, made me feel comfortable in certain circumstances, certain environments, and I latched onto that and used that as a crutch. And that was my life for a long, long time. But sport kept me on the straight and narrow to a certain degree growing up. When I wasn't drinking, I was boxing. When I wasn't boxing, I was drinking. But boxing was another love of mine. It was very important to me in my life, and really gave me a purpose, I suppose, to continue in my sporting career, because there was talent there, but there was a lack of discipline. And right through my early years of competing, I was winning various different competitions. But again, alcohol always played a part in my life until I got up into the senior level. Then I was representing the country and representing Ireland and going around the world travelling. Again, it was competing and drinking. Never one nor the other. Always the two together. But that was, again, my kind of an existence for a long, long time. And going up into adulthood, drinking was getting more ferocious, missing training sessions, abusing my body, no end. But always still clinging on to the hope that, once I kept boxing in my life, I'd be okay. Never really mentioned the word alcoholic in my life because I was in denial. How could I be an alcoholic when I'm a high-performing athlete? Obviously, that all came to an end then when I come back from the Olympic Games in 2008. My drinking took on a different kind of a manner altogether. It was hard and it was fast and it was non-stop. And as I say, it took me 18 years to reach my peak of my Mount Everest in qualifying for the Olympic Games. It took me 2 years to hit rock bottom. 2010, I was at death's door. I had enough. And it was the first time that I put my hands up and put my hands out and looked for help. And when I put my hands up and asked for help, I received it. And I gave up the fight against alcohol. It was the only fight that I gave up against and lost, but I came out the winner. I just couldn't beat alcohol. When I stopped, my life started to change. And we talk about recovery. For me, recovery is peace of mind. It's been able to get up out of bed in the morning, fresh, not worrying about what I said or what I did the night before, letting people down, compulsively lying, causing havoc with the people around me, my immediate family, and just the devastation, not being trustworthy, and just out and out horrible person. That's what I became, a horrible person in my active alcoholism. But recovery, I have a 5-year-old daughter now that I can get up every morning, walk her to school, and I collect her 1:30 every day. That's recovery for me. Recovery is answering the phone when it rings. Recovery for me is making an appointment when I arrange it. Recovery for me is being trustworthy. Recovery for me is not telling lies. You know, all the normal things that we should be doing, I found very hard to do, but now that I'm sober, I can do them no problem. So I'm reliable now, dependable, trustworthy, and I'm a good father. And I bless my lucky stars that I didn't have kids until I got sober. I was 28 when I got sober, and you know, like I said, sobriety has amended so many relationships in my life today. I have 4 great brothers who thank me every now and again that I got sober, because I was causing havoc in the immediate family. But that's recovery, you know, and I'm reliable now. Like I said, I turn up on time for appointments, and I help other people when I can, you know, and that's important for me. Getting back into the middle of it, and helping other recovering alcoholics and addicts to try and find a way, because I didn't think there was a way when I was in the midst of alcoholism. Just thought that was the way I was wired, and that's it. I'm just going to live with it. And there's a lovely picture in my local pub in Bmun that was hung up in the bar when I come back from the games, me standing there with my medal. Beautiful photo in the bar. And just before I got sober, I could envisage myself sitting at that same pub, sitting at that same seat in the bar 10 years later, giving some young lad a little nudge, some 18-year-old, and saying, "See that fella up there? That's me, can you buy me a pint?" And that frightens me, because that's where I was going, you know, a downhill spiral really, really fast. But that photo's still in that pub, and I'm no longer in that pub. I don't need to be in that pub. I've changed my way of thinking. I've changed my social circles. I've changed my behaviour. And that's what recovery has given me, the ability to be able to do that, to be able to step away from those environments and reinvent myself, you know. And I struggled with that in retirement when I walked away from boxing. I didn't know who I was. What else was I going to do? Who is Kenny Egan if he's not the boxer? So I had to step aside and reinvent myself. I went back to college. I got back into the books, which I didn't like, but I had to do something, you know. I couldn't walk into the bank with my Olympic medal and ask for a mortgage. You know, it doesn't work that way. That my piece of metal is worthless. So that was a scary place for me. And I was 30 years of age having to do all these things, reinvent myself and get a new job and get a new purpose in life, which I have. And that's what recovery is, you know. It allows you to express yourself in a positive manner and get on with your life. Life is still hard. I still have issues, still have problems, but I can deal with them an awful lot better now. I'm not looking at the end of a bottle looking for a solution. I can make good decisions. I have control over my decision making. I can say yes, and believe you me, I could say no. When I was in active addiction, I couldn't say no. So I'm a very confident person now. I'm very settled in myself, and I'm very comfortable in my own skin, warts and all. And I think that acceptance piece for me is very, very important. I know where my danger zones are. I know the people I shouldn't be mixing with. I know all these things. And my awareness now is very, very good. And once I have good awareness, that allows me choose the right and the wrong decisions. And I was 11 years sober last week. That's my biggest achievement. Olympic medals, European medals, any kind of medal means nothing to me. My sobriety is my golden egg, and I protect that every minute of every day. And in my recovery, that's the most important thing for me, is my sobriety. If I don't have sobriety, I have nothing. I don't have my child, I don't have my wife, I don't have my house, I have nothing. And all the other stuff is material. So recovery is possible, you know. We're celebrating Recovery Month now in September, and it is important that we share that movement that recovery is possible. It's just picking up that phone, it's taking that first step, it's making that first link, that there's someone out there that will talk to you and will guide you in the right direction. I was on the top of the world, Olympic silver medalist, but inside I was screaming and I needed help, and I had to take that step, you know, and I had to let go of that shame and the guilt and put my hand out, and it was the best thing I ever done, was to ask for help. 11 years later, I'm in a good place, I'm healthy, you know, and that's what recovery is. It gives me all these good things that I have in my life today, and possibilities, and endless more, you know. So I want to wish everyone well for Recovery Month. Pick up the phone, ask for help if you need it. Recovery is possible. Thank you.
How you doing? My name is Leighton. This is a song called If You See Me Down. And basically it's a song about addiction, life, and just reflecting on it all and the craziness of addiction. And so I wrote this when I was in a treatment centre. So I hope you enjoy it. Thank you. No one really knows how life's supposed to go, and then you find yourself on the ground. Life just passes by, so I need to take my time and figure it all out. Sometimes we're crazy, yeah. Sometimes we're good. Most of the time didn't feel like it should. Many mistakes along the way. Same old story, just a brand new day. So if you see me down on the ground, won't you comfort me? And if you see me down on my knees, won't you help me, please? How do you get up off your knees every time it's a hard, hard fight? Telling myself time again, everything's gonna be alright. So if you see me down on the ground, won't you comfort me? And if you see me down on my knees, won't you help me, please? Won't you help me, please? Distant memories mean so much to me. I gotta leave the bad ones behind. I try to run away in my mind every day. I was feeling lost inside. Feelings of despair that nobody cared. Gotta leave them all behind. You gotta leave them all behind. If you see me down on the ground, won't you comfort me? And if you see me down on my knees, won't you help me, please? Won't you help me, please? And if you see me down on the ground, won't you comfort me? And if you see me down on my knees, won't you help me, please? And if you see me down on the ground, won't you comfort me? And if you see me down on my knees, won't you help me, please? Won't you help me, please, to get off my knees?
Next up we have Cattle and Anya Holland. Locals from Ballymun. Good stock, good people. Cattle would be a long-time friend of mine and a really good musician. So please, put your hands together and let's hear it for Cattle and Anya Holland.
All right, thanks for that. This is a song we wrote many years ago. I was doing the cask program and the cask course, and we were asked to write a piece for our exam, and everybody was writing their piece, and I couldn't think of anything to write about. And a good friend of mine said to me, "Why don't you write a song?" And I thought, "Jeez, you couldn't do that, going for doing the cask." And she said, "Yeah, you could do a song." And it's funny because there was a song running around in my head for a long time, and it was kind of about some of the characters that were around before the last pandemic, and some of the characters that were around that I knew. Some of them got through, some of them didn't. But this is a song we wrote anyway, and it's called Windows in Rooms. And it refers to when we went to London. We went to an NA meeting in London, and we'd been at AA meetings and NA meetings in Dublin, in Ballymun before, and there was never any windows in the rooms when we went in. But when we went to one in London, my good pal Damien Webb said, "Jesus, Carl, look, there's windows in rooms and all over here." And that kind of stayed with me. And we called this song Windows in Rooms. Looking at the work that must be done, caring for the ones who stare the sun, or remembering, going through the moments of my time, realizing the harbors that were mine, remembering, different time. The leafy chimes are rolling over the sea. A mother's son, his journey's done. Sing what I see. Yeah, I sing what I see. And there's Christy, a brother from Ringsend, came into town. Yeah, we shivered together, but we didn't go all the way down. Our mothers and fathers were torn apart over what were the stars in our eyes, and no reassurance could quiet their sobs and their cries. So we all told them lies, And we said, don't worry, mother, leave us alone. Get off of my back, or we're out of this home. Our friends don't have hassles like this when they go home. Leave us alone. Then we met him in Tulba Street. We were rehearsing the sound. Yeah, the band we were playing in really was doing the rounds. Yeah, we couldn't get over how skinny he'd gone. He was young, but he still was a boy. And he told us not to worry, 'cause next week he was going into the Joy. He'd get well in the Joy. And he told us his poems, we sang a few songs, we talked about writing some things that were wrong. But Christy, the three of us, nobody knew what would come. Oh, what would come. And Peter O.B. was from Maryland, up by the Coombe. He had a stammer and all, but you could take him into anyone's room. And Petey would sit and he'd play his guitar, and while singing his diction would blend. And he showed me music that I didn't know up until then. Yeah, and he was my friend. And we shared taxis to restaurants, windows and rooms, summers in London and Carol tunes. Yeah, he was a special guy, even though he was a loon. He was a loon. And our sessions, they were famous, the length and the breadth of the streets, where poets and con men and sometimes photographers meet. While stealing away from the cares of the day, there was always a song to be heard. And if you were down on your luck, you would get a good word. Yeah, and we all had the word, that most beautiful word. La 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 la. Yeah, we all had the word, that most beautiful word. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. All we need is love. All we need is love. All we need is love, love. Love is all we need. How many roads must a man walk down before you can call him a man? How many seas must a white dove sail before she can sleep in the sand? And how many years can a cannonball fly before it is forever banned? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. How many times can a mountain exist before it is washed to the sea? And how many years can a nation exist before they're allowed to be free? And how many times can a man turn his head and pretend that he just doesn't see? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. And how many times can a man look up before he can see the sky? And how many ears must one man have before he can hear people cry? And how many deaths will it take till we know that too many people have died? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind.
How you doing? My name is Paul Duff. I'm Coordinator of Recovery Academy of Ireland, and I'm here to promote and support the Ballymun Does Recovery event that's taking place this month, over the month of September. It gives me great pleasure to be part of this celebration of recovery. The Recovery Academy that I coordinate is part of the promoting and facilitating addiction recovery, and Ballymun have been instrumental in promoting and facilitating addiction recovery within their community, and have been a flagship to supporting and promoting recovery that other cities and communities can take part of, and show some of what can be done within communities and in areas like Ballymun that need the support, that need to show that recovery is possible and to celebrate recovery as best we can. Hopefully follow us on social media and be part of the celebrations, and we welcome anyone to join us and be part of it. Thank you.
Next up, we have someone who works in the services in Ballymun from Briar. Can you please give it up for Tanya Ray?
Hi, my name is Tanya. I'm an outreach youth worker in Ballymun. I'm also part of the Briar Music Club. This is an original song. It's called I Still Feel Your Love. Places, journeys of highs and lows. not a day that I could say you're never far from my thoughts. I still see your face, smiling down, you'll never be replaced. I still feel seasons day passes by, another year without you by our sides. But the leaves turn green again, and the flowers bloom again, and the robin sings your song. I still see your face, smiling down, you never be replaced. I still feel your love deep within my heart, deep within my heart. I still see your face, smiling down, you never be replaced. I still feel your love deep within my heart, deep within my heart, deep within my heart, deep within my heart, deep within my heart. So I'm going to do another song for you. The next song is a bit more upbeat, and this is called You Better Go. With something that you didn't see, Lord, I left for you to read, telling you that your pencil's down. So pack your things and get the hell out now. You better go. Oh, oh, you better go. Now you better go. Oh, oh, you better go. Now please just go. So you think that I could be deceived? Well, let me tell you, girl, there ain't no fooling me. And if you think that I'm gonna grieve, you gotta be kidding, 'cause I'm actually relieved. Now you better go. Oh, oh, you better go. Now you better go. Oh, oh, you better go. Now please go. See all those things you promised me, but I got better things in my life, you'll see. Don't even try to persuade me, 'cause as the saying goes, once bitten, twice shy, that's me. Now you better go. Oh, oh, you better go. Now you better go. Oh, oh, you better go. Now you better go. Oh, oh, you better go. Now you better go. Oh, oh, you better go. Now please just go. Now please just go. Now you better go. Oh, oh, you better go. Now please just go.
Next up, we've got a men's dance group challenging the issues of stigma. Can you please give it up for New Movement?
Yeah, the process of this recovery dance, Ballymun recovery got in contact with me basically, and I sort of jumped at the chance because it's around sort of stigma and challenging men's thinking around recovery and even dancing and stuff like that. Like, you know, I thought it was very brave of the lads to actually participate and do it, like, you know, because it's, as I said, like, you know, I think with men it's harder for them to express their emotions and stuff like that, like, you know, and as the weeks went on, like, you could see the difference in the lads, and by the end of it, like, they were really enjoying it. They came out of their heads into their bodies, you know, which was great, like, you know, by the end of it, they all really enjoyed it, you know, so yeah, it was a good process, and I enjoyed it, you know, so I hope you all enjoyed the video.
Right lads, welcome to Ballymun Recovery Group. Who wants to start today's session? Right? Sure? Yeah. Hero? Okay.
I miss the touch of morning sun, making silhouettes of us, way back when we had our paradise. But staying out all through the night, smoking, drinking, getting high, I was wrong and I apologize. Where did you go? What can I do? I'm working on my problems, but I need you here to solve them. Where did you go? What should I say? I know that I can make a change, 'cause there's something about you keeping me sober. I was drowning in the moment, and I'm holding on to you. There's something about you keeping me sober. I was drowning in the moment, and I'm holding on to you. There's something about you that keeps picking me up. I miss the company we had back when I was still on track. Now I'm making my own paradise. But now the drink is tasting strange, and the high isn't the same. Well, I'm still wrong and I apologize. Where did you go? What can I do? I'm working on my problems, but I need you here to solve them. Where did you go? What should I say? I hope that I can make a change, 'cause there's something about you keeping me sober. I was drowning in the moment, and I'm holding on to you. There's something about you keeping me sober. I was drowning in the moment, and I'm holding on to you. There's something about you that keeps picking me up when I'm low. There's something about you that keeps picking me up when I'm low. There's something about you keeping me sober. I was drowning in the moment, and I'm holding on to you.
Hi everyone, my name is Brian Foley and I'm the chair of Ballymun Recovery. A little bit about Ballymun Recovery started off in 2019 when a group of people got together to try to see how we could promote recovery in Ballymun. That group quickly developed. One of the areas that we considered was that recovery was not just about individuals, it was about family as well, and family support and other services linked in then with Ballymun Recovery to see again what we could do to promote recovery in our community. Very quickly that became clear to us that recovery didn't just involve individuals, it didn't just involve families, it actually involved the community. And Ballymun Recovery was born out of those meetings. And so since 2019 we've had these various aims to try to promote recovery within our community, to make it visible. We've also worked hard to challenge the stigma of looking for help, of seeking help, of admitting that you might need some support around drug or alcohol issues. So this is our third year now. We had a very successful year last year as well, even though we were affected by COVID as well. And we're similar this year, we can't have people back in the Access Theatre, which is disappointing after such a high of 2019. But I'd like to thank the staff in the Access who have done an amazing job putting together this gig again with limited time, but they've done a great job in an awkward kind of setting with COVID around us, but they've done a marvellous job putting this gig together. I'm delighted that we can work alongside Access and the team in Access and the team in Ballymun Communications to get this gig out to you guys tonight. I'd like to also thank all the performers and the speakers who have given their time to help promote those aims of Ballymun Recovery, and I appreciate them giving their time for us tonight. I also need to thank the people who are involved in the organising of Ballymun Recovery, the month itself. So within that there's a number of people who are involved in a planning group. I'm not going to take the time to thank every individual, you all know who you are, so I'd like to thank you guys. And then there's another group that's a steering group that takes a lot of the planning group's ideas and makes them happen. It's a smaller number of people, but without them Ballymun Recovery probably wouldn't manage to get itself up and running so well. So I'd like to thank everybody who's involved in the steering group as well. And just finally, all you guys who've tuned into the show tonight, just to wish you all well and hope that you enjoy the show, and there'll be plenty of other things happening during Recovery Month in Ballymun if you can try to link in, support and try and share some of the stuff on social media to help us promote the message of recovery. Thank you.
Well, I don't think any Ballymun Does Recovery would be the same without the local band. Two good old mates of mine, Patter and Deco, from way back in the day. Give it up for the one and only Dexter.
Hi all, this is Deco from Dexter here. On behalf of myself and the rest of the lads in Dexter, we'd like to wish everybody a great recovery month. And unfortunately we can't gig at the minute, but here's a few videos and we hope you enjoy them. Have a great month. Thank you.
Matador shaving, 16, he's had that's all I do. Believe it or not, it might come as a shock. Get me face to face with my own worst enemy. That's me. What can I say? Well, what the heck? Tomorrow's another day. You say to me, and I say to you, this world's gone crazy. What can I do? This is me. This is me. This is me. Yeah. You better do that to survive. That's all I do. For you, you better go for your goals and achieve them. 'Cause I've been trying all my life to be something. Said I do good time to survive. That's all I do. I'll do it for you all day, all night. I'll do it for you all day, all night. I'll do it for you all day, all night. Yeah, I'll do it for you all day, all night. Out of the darkness and into the light now. Out of the storm, there's not a cloud inside. Gone are the best days you've been living. You're out of the darkness and into the light. Sha-la-la-la.
Hello, my name is Joanna Dwyer. I am a CE supervisor in the Red Door project in Drogheda. I'm also a counsellor. On the 23rd of March 2005 was the last time I injected heroin or cocaine. I'm in recovery now 16 years. This is probably the third time I've stood up and talked about my recovery, because sometimes it's a hard thing to talk about. I grew up in a very normal family. I was born in the west of Ireland, and my family moved a lot. And I suppose I would have been a very anxious, self-conscious child. Not possibly, I was overweight, and grew up in a house where alcohol was used a lot, and there was a lot of addiction around me. I was very uncertain of myself, very self-conscious, and very insecure. In the early years of my childhood, there was also a very traumatic experience that now I know, I suppose, is one of the factors that possibly led me to where I ended up. But at the age of 5, I moved from my first school to my second school, and that was kind of a pattern of how my life went from primary school. Probably went to 4 or 5 primary schools, 2 or 3 secondary schools. So there's a lot of change and a lot of uncertainty, and I was constantly trying to reinvent myself every place I went. At the age of 14 or so, I possibly would have started using alcohol. It was very normal in my house. My mother and father would have been in the kind of that business. They had leased a pub, and alcohol use is very normal. I remember doing my junior cert and going to school on a Friday and on Monday being hungover, and it was fairly acceptable, and kind of, and I felt that was fairly, everybody else was doing the same. By the time I got to my leaving cert, I had pretty declined a lot, and I'd been a pretty good student, and I was drinking more and more, I suppose, drinking during the week and drinking at weekends, and I started to smoke cannabis. I left school, and I fortunately got a place with the measly points I got in my leaving cert in a spot in Carlow and doing science. And when I arrived in Carlow, very quickly I found, when I think of it now, I found people that were smoking weed, and very quickly started taking ecstasy and speed and mushrooms and acid, and you name it. I think by Christmas of that year I dropped out of college, and I spent the rest of the year partying and told my parents I was still in college. That summer I went to London with a load of people that I'd been in college with, and things went pretty downhill pretty quick. We got involved with the rave scene, and I was starting to sell speed and coke, and really, I suppose, relished and enjoyed. And I was always the last person to go to bed, and the last person to leave a party. And I noticed that I was, I wasn't eating, and my days were filled with, when I could get the next anything. Really, it wasn't any drug per se, but it was anything that I could get my hands on. I came back to Ireland a year later, and my parents were living in Dublin then, and they'd moved to Dublin, and I moved into Ballybock with a friend of mine, and continued raving. Used to go to Sides, the Ormond, you name it, and I'd, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'd be taking yokes. Probably around 1997, 98, I met my son's dad, and the two of us, he was a dealer, and the two of us hit it off straight away. Within, I suppose, 6-7 months of being with him, I noticed on nights after nights out, there would be people smoking heroin to come down, and that was something I always said I'd never ever do. So very quickly from that, I suppose, nights out raving turned into nights in smoking heroin, and very quickly it escalated to injecting it. And I always said I'd never ever stick a needle in me, but the day came when I was so sick that I did. From there on, in 2000, I gave birth to my son in Rotunda Hospital, and I was on methadone and heroin, and I was hepatitis C positive. And I remember the day the nurse handed it to me, and we walked out the door, and I went, "Good God, what are they doing? They're giving me a child." And I I was so chaotic. I think my use got worse after that, and I got involved in a gang where we used to smuggle drugs in and out of the country. And I suppose there was social workers were looking at the situation, and life had got pretty chaotic. And Mark was diagnosed with HIV, and our relationship got more and more fraught. And I suppose I was injecting heroin and cocaine together, and I was taking benzos, and I was robbing and stealing and doing anything I could to get money. So things had got pretty mental. I then reinfected myself with a different genotype of hepatitis C, and my liver was, doctors were telling me my liver wasn't good. I had tried detoxes, and I tried to go into residential treatment and stuff, and none of that happened. I suppose what was the straw that eventually, you know, what made me find or seek or get recovery was I was in trouble with it was a chance of me going to prison, and I had a lot of charges, and my parents were moving out of Dublin, and they said to me, I was on my own living in a house with Keane, and said to me, why don't you come down to the country and give yourself a break from the madness that you're living in Dublin. So that's what I done. And I suppose the last day, one of the last days the last days I used was injected was the 23rd of March 2005. From then on, it was a very, very slow process, and I had to reduce off my methadone and come off tablets. And I remember, you know, I was clean and still miserable, and I was wondering what's going on for me here. You've stopped using drugs, but you're still very, very unhappy. And I realised that all the pain and hurt and the stuff that was underneath that was leading me to look for that fullness that heroin and drugs gave me, I hadn't dealt with, and I had to go back and peel and address all the trauma and pain and hurt that was there that had led me originally to the drug. There was years and years of, I suppose, counselling and kind of searching and self-help books and watching documentaries and stuff and trying to understand. And I never went to rehab, and I suppose that's where my recovery is the way it is today, and I'll explain a bit about that now. Anyway, I went to college and I applied for a degree and I got it, and through that stage and got a job and work in the addiction field now, and I'm doing a master's in Trinity, and I am, I suppose, very much in recovery. But something I want to talk today about is that I'm not in abstinent recovery. So I take a drink. I probably take a drink maybe 2 or 3 times a month. And that's something, I suppose, that when we talk about recovery in Ireland, it's very much people come from a 12-step abstinent-based program where it's that alcohol and drugs are a no-no, and even some people would say that medication for mental health stuff is a no-no as well. And for me, that just didn't sit right with me, and I never really wanted to have that rigidness around me. And I found that, I don't take drugs anymore, and I allow myself to have a drink, and that works for me. And I don't allow anybody to tell me that I'm not in recovery. And I think that's something that as a nation, and that we need to start looking at, that recovery is not just abstinent based, that recovery can be that I need to take my mental health meds, or I need to have a drink, or I want to have a drink, or I work with people and I constantly talk about equality of life, and equality of life for somebody who arrives at our door and maybe is injecting heroin and hasn't got access to their children and hasn't a roof over their head, and by the time they leave the program they have a roof over their head and they are on methadone, and maybe they allow themselves a joint at the weekend, and they're happy with that their quality of life is good enough and the people around them deem it good enough. That's enough for us. So I suppose if any message you take from today is that recovery is not just 12 steps, it's not just abstinence, recovery is what a person themselves dictates it is, and once that they're happy with the quality of life that they have, that they are of, healthy mind and body and spirit and soul and psychologically, that things are good for them, that's all that really that matters. I think that's, I'm going to leave it there. I'm trying to think of, I suppose, I would work with people who would, in the past would have said to me, and even in meetings and stuff, when I went to meetings, people would say to me, but you're not really in recovery, so why are you here? Like, you can't be talking about recovery. And I would have worked with people who had said, well, you're not abstinent, Joanne, so you're not in recovery. And I would challenge any one of them people to talk to my family and talk to my friends who saw me in the days of my crazy addiction, to ask them what they think my life is like now compared to then. And I'm sure they would say that, that Joanne is in a very good level of recovery. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, the last act of the evening. He was another good mate of mine, and who's doing really, really well at the moment. Can you please put your hands together for singer, songwriter, Mr. Robbie Dawson.
How's it going? My name's Robbie Dawson, singer-songwriter. I'm a recovering addict, and this song I'm going to play is called Ziggy, and it's a metaphoric way of explaining using drugs intravenously.
Ziggy play guitar, but that don't mean he's famous. You always get what you want. I guess that makes you dangerous. The bridge I built's too far. To cross it took me ages. And you won't cross because this junkie feels contagious. Why should I apologize for being what I am? I only fix because I'm sick. You would not understand, but Ziggy does. Oh, I guess he must. It's on the menu, innuendo, spoons and turning cakes. The dash you see bring to the boil. You gotta filter at the square. The soft insertion of this perversion was flushed away your play. Pins and needle, spins of feeble, collapse into your knee. The nova splits the solar. The nova splits the solar. Your party days, they're gone. I think you've got the fever. Your mind ticks like a bomb. Who's holding the receiver? Well, Ziggy says I'm fine. I will be once we leave here. But what of those we leave behind? It don't matter, they don't need ya. Why should you apologize for being what you are? You're only fixed because you're sick. You're Ziggy's shining star. Yeah, you're Ziggy's son, man, but you're not the only one. It's on the menu, innuendo, spoons and tourniquets. That you see, bring to the boil. You got a filter at the square. Start insertion of this perversion, push flush to where you play. Pins and needle, spins of feeble, collapse onto your knees. And over splits the solar. And over splits the solar. A visual blast of how Ziggy lives, conjured up watch you goof. He show you planets of stardust granite, they're built by Martian roots. The cosmic nova ignites the solar, and Ziggy starts to sing. Come on, son, now it's over. Come on, kid, now it's over. You've just OD'd.
Thanks very much. That's for all the people we've lost.
Well, ladies and gents, there you have it. Another year of Ballymun does recovery. And we do recovery. You know, the place gets a lot of bad press and a lot of bad talk about the bad stuff that goes on up here. But I'm sure from the show and listening to the people that have been here, you'll know it's not all bad. There is a lot of good stuff happening here in Ballymun. And there is a lot of people recovering. And with those people recovering individually, there's a lot of families who are benefiting as well. You can recover. You can get clean. Don't listen to people putting you down, saying you can't. You can. All you got to do is ask for the help. The help is there. 100%. The services are there. The people are there to put the things in place for you. I've been one of the fortunate ones. And I'm really thankful to a lot of the services in Ballymun who put their time into me and to others. And who always will along the way. Others to come after me. So thanks very much, everyone. I really hope you enjoyed the show. And please God, next year, in 2022, We've got a live audience, and it's not just me talking into a camera with one man here. But he's been here all the time as well. Give it up for Jer. Ballymun, please God, I'll see you next year. Take care and look after each other. God bless.